Welcome to A to Z Tales. Today's story is about Sarah Matthews, a mother who faces deep grief but transforms it into love and hope for children without families. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe, like, and share to learn English through stories. Quick question before we start. Do you think a mother's love can change the world? Write your answer in English in the comments below. I'll be reading your replies. Sarah Matthews was an ordinary woman. She lived in a small town with her husband, John, and their little son, Daniel. Her life was simple, but it was full of love. Sarah loved to cook, she loved to garden, but most of all, she loved being a mother. Daniel was her only child. He was 8 years old. He had big brown eyes and a smile that could brighten any day. Sarah often said that Daniel was the sunshine of her life. Every morning, she woke up early to pack his school bag. She made sure his uniform was clean and his shoes were polished. She walked him to the school bus stop. And when he came home, she was always waiting at the door with open arms. Life felt complete. Sarah thought it would always be this way. But life is not always kind. One day, something terrible happened. Daniel became sick. At first, Sarah thought it was just a small fever. She gave him soup, medicine, and hugs. But the fever did not go away. It became worse. John and Sarah rushed him to the hospital. Doctors checked him. They gave him strong medicine. They tried everything they could. But the sickness was stronger. Daniel's little body could not fight anymore. One quiet night, with his parents holding his hands, Daniel took his last breath. The world broke for Sarah. She felt like her heart was crushed into pieces. She could not believe it. Her only child was gone. She cried until she could cry no more. She sat in his empty room, holding his toys and his clothes. Every corner of the house reminded her of him. His laughter, his drawings on the wall, his favorite songs, all were memories now. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. But Sarah's grief did not leave. She stopped cooking, she stopped gardening, she stopped smiling. She could not even look at the playground near her house. Seeing children play made her chest hurt. John tried to comfort her, but he too was broken. Their home was quiet, heavy, and full of sorrow. One evening, Sarah sat by the window. She saw a little boy walking alone on the street. He looked tired. His clothes were old. He carried a small bag and looked hungry. Sarah's heart felt something. She went outside and gave him some food. The boy thanked her with shining eyes. He told her he lived in an orphanage nearby. He said he had no parents. Sarah's heart trembled. For the first time in many months, she felt a small spark of meaning. That night, she could not sleep. She thought about the boy. She thought about children who had no mothers to hug them, no fathers to guide them. She realized something deep. She had lost her child, but many children had never known the love of a mother at all. The next day, Sarah went to the orphanage. It was a small, old building. Inside, many children were sitting together. Some were drawing, some were playing with broken toys, and some were just staring at the floor. The caretaker greeted her kindly. Sarah looked around and felt tears in her eyes. She saw children who had no one to tuck them in at night, no one to pack their school bags, no one to wait for them at the door. She asked if she could help. The caretaker smiled and said yes. Sarah began to visit every day. At first, she just read stories to the children. She brought books from Daniel's shelf. She used his crayons and coloring books to share with them. The children loved it. Slowly, Sarah began to cook for them too. She made them warm soup, rice, and bread. She washed their clothes. She even planted a small garden behind the orphanage so they could have fresh vegetables. Every time a child smiled at her, she felt Daniel close to her. Every hug from the children felt like a piece of her broken heart was healing. But she also knew the orphanage needed more. The roof was weak. There were not enough beds. The children needed books, toys, and proper care. Sarah decided she could not stop with small help. She had to do more. She started by telling her story to neighbors and friends. She explained how she had lost Daniel. She explained how much love children without families needed. At first, people only listened politely. But Sarah did not give up. She visited schools, churches, and community centers. She asked people to donate money, clothes, and food. She even wrote letters to local businesses. Slowly, support began to grow. Some gave old furniture, some gave books, some gave toys, some gave money. Every little bit helped. With the donations, Sarah repaired the roof. She bought new beds and blankets. She painted the walls with bright colors. She made the orphanage feel like a home, not just a shelter. The children began to change too. At first, many were shy. They had learned to hide their feelings, but with Sarah's love, they opened up. They laughed more. They studied harder. They started to dream about their future. One little girl said she wanted to be a teacher. Another boy said he wanted to be a doctor. Sarah felt proud. She knew Daniel would have wanted this. Years passed. The orphanage grew into something bigger. With the help of the community, Sarah started a foundation. She named it Daniel's Home. It was in memory of her son. The foundation worked not only in her town, but in nearby villages, too. They built new homes for orphans. They provided food, education, and love. Sarah dedicated her whole life to this mission. Her grief never disappeared fully. She still missed Daniel every day. Sometimes she cried at night, holding his picture. But she also knew her pain had created something beautiful. She had turned her loss into hope for others. She had turned her tears into smiles for many children. When Sarah grew older, people in the town often spoke of her. They called her Mother of Many. Children who had once been lonely grew up strong and kind because of her care. Some of them became teachers, doctors, artists, and leaders. They always remembered Sarah as the woman who gave them love when they had none. One day, a young man came to visit Sarah. He was tall and confident. He hugged her and said, "Do you remember me? I was the boy you gave food to on the street long ago." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. He continued, "Because of you, I got a chance to study. I finished college. Now I work as a social worker. I also want to help children." Sarah's heart was full. She realized her love had created a chain of kindness. Her mission would not end with her. It would continue through those she had touched. And so Sarah Matthews became a symbol of love, courage, and transformation. She had lost her only child, but in her pain, she had found a purpose greater than herself. Her story teaches us that even the deepest grief can be turned into light, and that the love of one mother can change the lives of many children. Thank you for listening to this story about Sarah Matthews. Her journey shows us that even in great pain, love can bring hope. Now I want to hear from you again. Do you believe a mother's love can truly change the world? Write your answer in English in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who want to learn English. And remember, listening, reading, and repeating stories every day will make your English stronger.